Okay, ATP Tokyo next. You've selected Djokovic versus Soeda under 19.5 at 1.73. Some books are not even offering you under in the games.
Yeah, so I think this is actually a little bit longer now with Pinnacle, but yeah, certainly anything over 1.7, I think is a good bet. This is a slightly difficult one to quantify here. You've got Djokovic coming back from retiring at the US Open against Wawrinka. He was clearly not fit in that tournament. So there was a lot of question marks coming into Tokyo, how he would do. He tends to do well this week of the year. He's won Beijing before, and it's interesting that he's decided to go to Tokyo. I was slightly surprised by that. But I think looking at him in the first round, he beat Papirin 4-2. He looked pretty solid to me. He didn't give up a single break point. So those are positive signs. He rarely tends to lose as a short price favorite. So he's won 39 of 40 in 2019. And often against the weaker underdogs, of which Soeda is definitely a weaker underdog, he tends to win very comfortably. So Soeda he's 35 years old. And clearly on the decline. He did have a very good win against Struff last round, but I would personally put that down more to Struff than Soeda. Soeda's record against the top 50 is 0-23 when he's priced over 6. So he's never won a single match. And actually, when you look at him against the top 10, he's 0 for 7, and in 6 of those, the underbet has landed comfortably. So again, Djokovic is the best returner in the world. I would expect this match to be easier than his opening match, and he won his opening match 6-4, 6-2, which would have seen this bet land. So more of the same would be my expectation. And yeah, I certainly would have had this line a bit shorter than 19.5.
Okay, and a bit of value on this and on one of the outrights, and you've got Basilashvili at 21. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of companies that are a lot less than that, but the 21 looks well.
Yeah, so this is actually for ATP Beijing. So you've got Basilashvili is 21. The big question with Basil is always how well he'll play. He has one of the higher peaks on tour. He actually won this event last year, beating Del Potro in the final, which was a big shock. The Argentine wasn't at his best, but it was a phenomenal performance from Basil all week. He clearly enjoys the conditions here. I mean, Beijing is a kind of slightly weird event, and that it has a low amount of tie breaks, and it has a fairly low hold percentage, which tends to signal slower conditions. But actually, the court itself plays quite fast. It's a Deco Turf outdoor court, which tends to mean that it's going to be a pretty quick off the bounce. And Basil likes that. He likes to have a bit more time overall, but he also very much gets a lot out of the extra pace because he's a shot maker. That's how he tends to play. So yeah, I mean, I think this is basically a case of opposing the seeds in this tournament. I mean, Beijing is generally not a good tournament to oppose the seeds in, but actually I think this year a lot of the top of the field look weak. So Basil beat Payer in his first round. He'd then have Tsitsipas in the second round. Seeded player would be Isner in the third round, which is the quarterfinal. And then in the semi, he'd have Alex Zverev, and in the final team. So looking at that draw, virtually all of the players in that draw, to me, are opposable, especially in China on hard courts. I mean, Tsitsipas had injury issues last out. He retired. He then come to this event. He won in 3 tight sets against Lajovic in the first round. So that form marker for me probably puts him about in line with how Basil's playing, and he's a lot shorter. Then you have Isner in the quarterfinals, who has a dreadful record in China, although he did surprise me by beating Monfils in the first round. In the semis, you have Alex Zverev, who we've gone on about all year. Opposing him has been the easiest money we've had all year, and eventually he'll come good. But for now, I'm happy to continue that trend. And then finally, Thiem, who I've already covered briefly with the other bet. He's just not that good on the hard courts, especially in China. It's not an event that I would imagine he'll be looking forward to. So yeah, that's the kind of situation where Basil is a player who clearly does play well here, and you've got a bunch of players who don't. So I'm happy to take a punt at that price.
And would you have a little bit of Basil around the 2.6? He's a dog against Tsitsipas. So would you say that he was worth the having a little bit on a single?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he was 2.62 when we looked against Tsitsipas. And that definitely seems long. He's drifting out from, I think, 2.25, 2.3 which he was earlier. That's probably a fair price. I mean, I do feel like this match will be pretty even. It's always difficult to factor in correctly things like Tsitsipas's injury issues. But yeah, certainly at 2.62, that's worth a bet.
Okay, James. Well, let's hope that Bianca does the business. I'll be smiling. It'll put us any of them dodgy results from the Champions League that are going to be going on. I think that Bianca will be able to put a few plasters over them. Thanks for your work, mate. Good luck, and hopefully we'll have Snies back soon and still waxing lyrical about Bianca.